Okay, so to the audience I say, if you care about freedom, I'd listen in on this speech. So my speech, political correctness, a threat against freedom. So as a roadmap and an introduction, I'll be going over what is political correctness, a personal account of political correctness, problems with political correctness, other examples of political correctness, analysis of political correctness, solutions, and other arguments. Now, as far what is political correctness? As defined by the Webster Dictionary, the definition of politically correct is conforming to a belief that languages and practices which could offend political sensibilities, as in the matters of sex or race, should be eliminated. Emphasis on the language and eliminate. Now, as a personal account of political correctness, I'd like to show the class the Jufro story. This happened when I was in sophomore year, and I was in history class. And the teacher was flipping through the slides, and then in one of the slides is a picture of Napoleon Dynamite. And I said, wow, what a Jufro. And then everybody in the class laughs, but then the teacher's like, Leo, did you just say Jufro? That's like saying the cancer hairstyle. And then I'm just kind of dumbfounded, and the whole class just kind of like dumbfounded about how somebody could get so offended by something as simple as me saying a Jufro joke and how it could be taken so seriously. And this would be an example of how political correctness can get. Now, then goes the His Majesty scenario. Political correctness presents itself the strongest at college. According to Lindsay Weaver from the Washington Times, students at the University of Michigan were told to choose their preferred gender pronouns, as this new policy implemented by the university for the preferred gender pronoun. And the students picked their preferred gender pronouns, and the teachers had to refer to them by these gender pronouns, whether they were accurate or not. A student to protest this said that his preferred gender pronoun was His Majesty. So now the teachers, the professors, had to refer to the student as His Majesty, otherwise they would face action taken against them by the institution. This is just to show how ridiculous political correctness can get just to cater to people's feelings. So now, as in terms of the First Amendment. In terms of the First Amendment, in speech, according to the U.S. Constitution, it guarantees the freedom of individuals to speak freely and prohibits Congress from restricting speech or the press. Now, the effect of political correctness on freedom of speech. Political correctness is based primarily on the restriction and censoring of speech, as the political correctness is a way to show false tolerance, and that so the politically correct can try and get you to speak the way they want you to speak, as in normally in the way and in the name of quote-unquote tolerance. Now, so what happens if we continue in this post? As written in the Hill blog, Canada has implemented a Bill C-16, which states that not referring to someone by the preferred gender pronoun is indeed a crime and can be considered a hate crime or discrimination. And this goes back to the His Majesty scenario, as how it was ridiculous at the university, but now in some countries, like for example Canada, it is now implemented as law. For example, in Canada, if I were to say that my preferred gender pronoun is His Majesty, you'd have to refer to me as His Majesty, and if you do not, you'd be facing actual jail time. Now, in the defense of the easily offended, as written by the Smithsonian newspaper, the culture of the politically correct and the ultra-tolerant atmosphere in colleges has forced the country to walk on eggshells, where everything's potentially offensive and everything's a potential trigger warning. Now, political correctness manifests itself as a minefield, where you have to be careful of what you say, how you say it, and the ideas you express on the matters that they might be found offensive, sexist, racist, or whatever is, or whoever gets offended in what they say that your speech is, which essentially restricts our freedom of speech and puts fear in people, and then they don't express their ideas how they do because of the fear of political correctness. Now, safe spaces in 2016. As written in a letter from the University of Chicago, the definition of a safe space is where students and people and individuals can retreat from ideas at odds with their own that they might find quote-unquote offensive. Yes, college students need safe spaces to protect themselves from ideas and arguments and perspectives that they might find quote-unquote offensive. Now, this just to show the ridiculousness of the extent of what's happened. This is 20-something-year-olds in 2016 asking for safe spaces and more political correctness and the restriction of speech as to not offend people. And now these are 20-something-year-olds in 1944 in World War II. So there you see the generational gap, how in 2016 people are worrying about political correctness and not getting offended, while in 1944 they were just focused around winning the war. Now, as a reflection, do we want a society based on catering to the feelings of the easily offended, or do we want a society based on freedom of speech and the liberty that it offers people? Now, why should we fight political correctness? We must fight political correctness in the protection of our freedom of speech and our First Amendment. We must fight political correctness for the freedom to say what we want and how we want it, and to be able to express our ideas without being attacked for being offensive. Now, how to fight political correctness? Number one, do not walk on eggshells. Things should be said as they are to be said, and ideas should be expressed freely without the fear of being offensive, sexist, or racist, or whatever. Now, respect what others have to say, whether you agree with it or not, or whether it offends you, since they have the right to say it, whether or not it offends people. Now, realize that not everyone agrees with you, nor does everyone have to agree with you. So not everybody is going to find what you say acceptable, and people might be offended by what you say, but this does not matter, as you have the right to say it, and you should say it even if it offends people. Now, there's no need for safe spaces to guard people from opposing opinions or perspectives, since people should realize that our society is based on the free expression of ideas and clash between the ideas of individuals, and not the censoring and restricting of speech through political correctness and to the defense of the easily offended. Now, as for a conclusion, I have gone over what is political correctness, problems of political correctness, a personal account of political correctness, other examples, and fighting strategies against political correctness. And now I thank the audience for listening on my speech, and I hope all of you have a good day. And this show, these are my bibliography and everything.
Jeez.
Thank you.